Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us. One of the most important responsibilities I hold as governor is keeping our communities safe, and that's a responsibility I take very seriously. I spent the first year of my administration traveling the state, hearing from community leaders, families, and law enforcement about the biggest challenges they face and how the state can do more to help. The single most common thing I heard when it comes to public health and safety is the continued prevalence of fentanyl in our communities. To date, in 2024 alone, 71% of non-fatal overdoses in Arizona have involved fentanyl. In Maricopa County alone, an average of over 3 people die every day due to fentanyl. Something has to be done. Fentanyl is putting Arizonans in danger, costing countless lives, and devastating families who have seen their loved ones become addicted to and die from this deadly drug. We can no longer accept the status quo. That's why today I am proud to sign legislation that will hold drug traffickers accountable, keep fentanyl off our streets, and continue our Department of Homeland Security. House Bill 2245 reflects the partnership between my office, law enforcement, the Attorney General's office, and the legislature to come together and find solutions to a serious and widespread problem. With this bill, law enforcement will be better positioned to stop drug dealers from bringing this devastating drug into our communities. But it's just one piece of the puzzle, and an issue this complex requires a holistic approach. That's why I propose funding for my SAFE initiative in this year's budget, which will help Arizonans get treatment and law enforcement get the resources they need to enforce the law. We need to come together, just like we're doing today, to get that funding passed. The second bill I'm signing today, House Bill 2107, will continue the Department of Homeland Security, a key partner in our efforts to keep Arizona safe. And with this signing, I am proud to announce the new CEO of the Department of Homeland Security, Dr. Kim O'Connor. She's been a national leader protecting our communities, serving the current and previous administrations in roles at the Federal Department of Homeland Security and Customs and Border Protection. Under the leadership of CEO Dr. Kim O'Connor, I know the Arizona Department of Homeland Security is in good hands. And finally, I want to take a moment to recognize some of the people joining us here today. Josephine and Mitch Dunn endured something no parent could ever imagine when they tragically lost their daughter Ashley to fentanyl in 2021. Josephine and Mitch, as a mother, I want to express my sincere condolences. As governor, I want to thank you for being a part of this process, and it's my hope that this legislation will prevent more parents from receiving the devastating call that you did that day. I also want to recognize Senator Christine Marsh, who lost her son to a fentanyl overdose and who has worked tirelessly every single day to help Arizonans struggling with substance abuse. Senator Marsh, it's an honor to be in this work with you. I know Josephine, Mitch, and Senator Marsh are far from the only parents who have suffered the loss of a loved one due to fentanyl or another drug overdose. My message to all parents, friends, and family members who have gone through this is that we hear you, and today is just the first step of combating this crisis together. Thank you to our law enforcement officers across the state, including Colonel Glover and Sheriff Rhodes, who are here with us today, for making it your mission every single day to protect Arizonans. I look forward to working with all of you to continue keeping Arizona's communities safe. And with that, I'll pass it along to Director Glover.
Thank you, Governor. Of course, we know it's imperative that we bring an end to the fentanyl epidemic. It's putting Arizonans in danger, costing countless lives, devastating families who have seen their loved ones become addicted to and die from this deadly drug. We need to take action to hold drug traffickers accountable for the lives that they have taken from us and to ensure that we're doing everything we can to keep Arizona safe. That's why we are grateful to Governor Hobbs for signing these bills to crack down on drug traffickers and continue our working partnership with Department of Homeland Security. The proposed legislation will provide the Arizona Department of Public Safety and our local law enforcement partners with a much-needed tool to stem the flow of fentanyl in our Arizona communities. In Arizona and across the country, fentanyl has become a major public health and safety concern that is, with legislation and the help to curb that and the spread of this dangerous drug and to help save many of our lives. Over the past 6 months, DPS has seized more pounds, and this is all across the state. This is the equivalent of over 7 million pills. Drug Enforcement Administrative testing has shown roughly 7 out of 10 fentanyl-laced fake prescription pill contains a potential deadly dose of fentanyl. This is why it is so critical to talk to your children and your loved ones about the dangers associated with taking an unknown pill, and why it's so critical that we are taking action today with House Bill 2245. This is a significant step towards reducing the impact of the fentanyl crisis on Arizona communities, and why we are grateful for Governor Hobbs and her leadership and her call to action to address this epidemic. I'll now turn it over to Sheriff David Rhodes.
Good afternoon. David Rhodes, Yavapai County Sheriff and President of the Arizona Sheriff's Association. I'd like to start today by first thanking the Arizona Sheriffs who are here today, who have worked tirelessly to pass this legislation over the last 4 years, I believe, that are on the front lines of this battle every single day on our southwest border and across this entire state. I would like to thank a big thank you to Commander James Edelstein of the Presque Valley Police Department, who's standing behind me today, who also worked tirelessly to pass this key piece of legislation to hold fentanyl dealers accountable. Representative Quang Nguyen, Legislative District 1, who is on the floor of the House today and couldn't be here. He is really an unsung hero, but somebody who fought for the last 3 years to pass this key piece of legislation, sponsored it every single year, and we're very grateful for him, as well as the legislative leaders that brought this through the Arizona legislature and to the governor's office, and of course to Governor Hobbs for signing this key piece of legislation. But really, the family, the namesake of this bill, the Ashley Dunn Act, Josephine and Mitch Dunn, who are dear friends from Yavapai County, who have also fought to make sure that Ashley, their daughter, and all Arizonans, everybody in America, but particularly here in Arizona, will not have died in vain, and that there will be accountability for those people who want to actually traffic in fentanyl, sell it to our kids, sell it to our vulnerable population, profiteer off of it, and kill people in this state. There is a new tool now, and we will use it to find you and to prosecute you and put you in prison. And we say consistently that people, criminals, have to believe that the laws will be enforced, and they have to be afraid of the consequences. We believe that this key piece of legislation does exactly that. So we're very grateful to everybody who has worked to bring this to bear, to bring this, to make this the law of the land here in Arizona. And I want to thank all of those players, and particularly Mitch and Josephine Dunn. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Mundell, and I'm the Chief Deputy Attorney General for Attorney General Chris Mays. She couldn't be here today because she had a long-standing prior commitment, but she asked me to appear, I should say told me to appear for her today. She feels so strongly about this piece of legislation that she wanted us to participate in the bill signing ceremony here today. Every day, lawyers, investigators, and agents at the Attorney General's office are fighting on the front line to deal with the fentanyl crisis. Every day, with our local and federal law enforcement partners, our team is investigating, prosecuting, and disrupting the flow of fentanyl into our communities. But in recent years, Arizona has become the fentanyl funnel for the rest of the nation. Over half of the fentanyl seized in the United States in the last 2 years was seized in Arizona. This bill that Governor Hobbs is about to sign will give us another tool in our toolbox to go after those selling large quantities of the deadly drug. 200 grams, or the equivalent of 2,000 pills, in a sale will trigger the enhanced sentencing provisions in the legislation. This will give our prosecutors throughout the state, not just at the Attorney General's office, but throughout the state, the ability to deter mid and large-scale drug dealers from operating within our state. It is a measured approach that seeks to deter the behavior and was crafted to the best of our ability to ensure that we're not criminalizing users who need treatment, not jail. But Arizona's fentanyl crisis requires all of the above, all hands-on-deck approach. On behalf of the Attorney General, Chris Mays, I want to thank the legislature for its bipartisan support of this bill. And we especially want to thank Representative Wynn for his leadership in getting this bill across the finish line. We are also appreciative of all the stakeholders' input we received, especially from our county sheriffs, Sheriff Rhodes, that went into making this a successful piece of legislation. Together we can deter criminal behavior and get people suffering from the horrible disease of addiction the help they need. So I want to thank the legislature again and thank Governor Hobbs for supporting this important piece of legislation. Thank you very much.
About Robin. Excuse me. So your thoughts on his resignation, and are you making any recommendations for his replacement? And if so, how soon do you think he should be replaced?
He said he would stay until his contract ends or until a replacement is found, and I think we should start that process sooner rather than later. I think I've made my thoughts very clear that I was losing patience, and I think he must have heard that loudly and clearly from the community. So, yeah.
This question can either be for you or for the family, or whoever feels more comfortable with this. But generally speaking, what needs to come next when it comes to fentanyl sentencing? Is there any other legislation or any other kind of strengthening of laws that need to happen in order to see a full kind of prevention from these overdoses from happening so frequently?
I can speak to that, and then if you want to jump in, feel free, please. But I just will say this is a complex issue, and we need to do a lot more than enhanced sentencing. We need a holistic approach, and the SAFE initiative that I mentioned in my remarks was part of our budget proposal that would provide more funding for treatment for individuals, as well as increased resources for law enforcement. We can't just approach this from a law enforcement perspective. Did you want to add anything? Okay.
I agree with the governor, and I'd like to defer to the sheriff. I think that there are many tentacles to the fentanyl crisis, and I think that we need to look at addiction treatment, we need to look at education, we need to look at closing the border, and we need to look at many, many avenues. We need to speak to children when they're young. We need to look at a lot of things. It's not just about enforcement and penalty. But I think the sheriff needs to answer this more so than I do.
Thank you. I think, I know I speak on behalf of all law enforcement about this incredibly complex issue. Addiction, drug use needs treatment. There needs to be diversion opportunities for low-level offenders. There needs to be different strategies to deal with the demand. The push-pull factors around particularly fentanyl need to be addressed. Obviously and clearly, the border needs to have more security. It is far, far too easy for this to come here. I think, however, one of the key tenets, one of the key principles of this legislation is that this is targeting dealers. Mr. Mundell said this earlier, is that you're looking for people who are moving weight, significant amounts of drugs with the intent to distribute it to other people. Those are the people that are profiteering. Those are the people who we don't believe are going to benefit from treatment. We don't believe that treatment is appropriate for them. We believe that punishment, incarceration is appropriate for those people who are looking to criminalize your people who are suffering from substance use addiction. And very much in the namesake of this bill, anybody who knows the facts and the details about Ashley Dunn's case knows that that's exactly what happened here.
Other questions? Governor, didn't Representative Wynn file a bill last year that you vetoed that would have included some of the stuff in the Ashley Dunn Act? Why veto it last year and sign it this year?
The bill I signed today represents a bipartisan effort to make this have real consequences and something that will actually provide a tool for law enforcement. I'm proud of the bill we signed and the work we did across agencies to get it to the place that it is today.
Governor, can you talk about, we're talking about a multifaceted approach to this problem, enforcement, treatment, all of those things take money. The state budget situation is, as you know, what it is. How do you, given that, not how much of a priority is it, but what are you asking for in your budget that will fund the multifaceted approach?
Public safety is a top priority, and as I said in the State of the State address, we're going to address the budget shortfall without compromising public safety, and this is a huge priority. I hear it from communities every single day. So the SAFE initiative, we can get back to you with the specific details of how that's funded, but there was funding for those initiatives, for that initiative in the budget.
Governor, lawmakers, Republican leadership are complaining that you're not engaged on the budget.
We are.
You're waiting for.
We have started.
numbers,
We have started budget negotiations.
But they say that you've been dragging your feet for months, and they're getting frustrated with the lack of movement. In fact, they're starting to work on you 1 day a week from now on.
That is their call, not mine. We are negotiating on a budget.
Have you started negotiating, you personally? Is it staff still?
It is staff.
Other questions?
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
You guys are easy today. Thank you.